Thank you very much for your question. So it's super exciting approval and super significant. So because this is the first and the only oral medication sort of approved to treat long-term attacks and sort of approved for long-term prophylaxis for this patient group. So up until now, we had a huge unmet needs for this patient group. So because those patients were managed with injections. So, and as you can imagine, so those injections caused significant negative impact on the patients, on the families, was difficult to manage from clinical perspectives. So yes, and this drug is the first oral medication approved for this patient group for long-term prophylaxis. So, and it's a significant achievement because these are little sprinkles, very easy to administer. You can basically sprinkle onto non-acidic food, easy to take. It's amazing, as I say, achievement for the patients, for their families, and for the clinicians. So up until now, we had an injectable drug called for long-term prophylaxis, lanadelumab, which is injectable. You have to inject under the skin, sort of between every 2 to 4 weeks. So these are injections, and again, sort of most young children are needle phobic, and so all the injections bring lots of other negative aspects. So anxiety and reluctance to take the treatment, and for clinicians to manage. So we also have probably the longest one we had for long-term prophylaxis was C1 esterase inhibitor concentrate. So, which again, sort of these are injections, and you have to give into the vein, so which is even more complicated than to inject under the skin. So in summary, so we have not had any effective oral medications for long-term prophylaxis for young children. So yeah, so the results. So we have got now the results. So last year we presented in San Diego. So interim results up to 1 year, and this year we're going to present over 1 year, so up to week 144. And basically, the results showed that the drug was very efficacious and basically reduced the mean attack rates, sort of monthly attack rates, to zero. So, and the efficacy sort of was very early and sustained beyond one year. So, and more than 50 patients had zero attack rates up to 1 year. No, we haven't. So we have not observed this in our patient groups. The study was designed to basically collect the pharmacokinetic data, or PK, to inform appropriate weight ranges and doses. So for kids to match those in adults. So there were 4 age groups. So the older age group, based on the weights, they took 150 milligrams, and then the younger ones sort of, so the dosing was smaller. So, but basically we had not observed any problems or any impact on the cardiovascular system or PQ prolongation. I think it's amazing breakthrough, sort of. So, and as chief investigator for this trial in the UK, so we have already noticed that the drug has been transforming patients' lives, sort of. So patients can go back to school, so they can go on holidays, they're less anxious, sort of. So we had massive improvement, is less burden onto the healthcare, less burden onto the patients and the families. now the drug has been approved by FDA in December. So what that means that the clinicians can prescribe the drug for younger patients. So the results clearly show that the drug was safe and very effective. So it will be incorporated into the various international guidelines. I think, especially younger ones who, so children, full stop, they don't like injections and needles. So, but especially younger ones, it's very difficult for the families to manage. You have to train the families, and especially if the families have got more children, so, or they're single parents. So it's injections sort of cause significant burden to the patients and the caregivers. So yeah, especially younger ones, they prefer oral formulation. So, and the drug was designed as sprinkles like. So, as I mentioned, they are very easy to administer and to take, sort of. So it's easy for the patient, easy for the parents, and well tolerated and safe and very effective. Yes. So now, those patients who completed this initial study, so now we've started follow on. So basically, to observe, to, uh, to look at the longer term safety of the drug, so, and efficacy. So those patients will be followed up. The patients enrolled into APEX trials, so will be followed up longer term for 5 years to see whether they will continue to tolerate and to monitor the long-term safety. I think that development cannot be stopped, sort of. So there is always room for improvement, and every patient is very individual, sort of, when you prescribe the drug. So you have to take into the account the patient and the whole family sort of environment and circumstances. So this drug is great. So you can administer orally. It's easy to give to the patient. So, but it's nevertheless is still every single day. There might be some patients who might not be able to tolerate. So there will be some patients they can't take orally, sort of. So there will be specific patient groups which this drug might not be suitable. So I think the drug development won't stop, sort of. So, and of course, sort of, so ideally, it would be easier for the patients to, if we can administer less frequently, sort of. So perhaps something oral formulation, but once a month or once every 3 months, or sort of. So this is still daily medication to remember for the family, sort of, when they have very busy lives. So every drug will have its niche, sort of. So the indications and prescribing has to be discussed in conjunction, sort of, together with, in partnership with children, age appropriate, and their families.